Hi and good evening, everyone. This is Karen Donovan, and welcome to this episode of the G.N.W. show. For Good News Wednesday, we try to bring a smile to your face and some fun for the rest of your week to help you get through another, I'm sure, challenging and difficult week. And that's why we started this program in the first place, and we've been going strong for 2 years. And we plan on continuing. So tonight, I don't know about you, but have you ever had a situation where all of a sudden you got somewhere and you didn't remember how you got there? We're going to be talking about that tonight on Strategies for a Happy Life. So, are you living your life by design or by default? That is the question. I don't know about you, but have you ever had a situation where someone was talking to you and then they said a question or they said hello and Earth to Karen, and you said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. My mind was a million miles away. You were thinking of something else." Or worst case scenario, did you ever have a situation where you were driving? I remember this happening to me, and I got home and I didn't remember stopping for the light, the school crossing, nothing, but I made it home okay. So what is the deal with that? That's because we have probably about 35,000 decisions that are thrown at us on a daily basis, and we can't possibly consciously work on all of those decisions and function. We would freeze up, right? So we go on autopilot. We go on default. And that's not exactly a bad thing. I mean, how would it be if you got up every morning and you had to figure out how to tie your shoes or, do something that you normally do? It would be a disaster, right? So about 30% to 40% of the time, we have actions and habits and activities. I know there's someone in my family who's developing these great habits in the morning, and right now they're consciously competent in that subject, and that means they know they can do it, and they think about it, but it's not unconsciously competent. I don't want to say unconsciously incompetent because that's a whole other matter. But unconsciously competent is when we get to that point where we just say, somebody asks you a question and you just know the answer, or somebody, gives you something to do and you just know how to do it. And that's a good thing. However, what do we do about the other 60% of our lives, which should not be left to automatic, zombie-like default behavior? Like, for example, deciding on a career, picking out who your best friends or your spouse is going to be, where you're going to work and live. Those kind of things, they should be what you are thinking about, right? So the other things can take care of themselves, and you can concentrate on the important stuff of that 35,000, I call it tennis balls, that come by your brain every day that you have to make decisions on. So how do you live your life by design? That's the question of the hour, because many people are unfortunately on default mode. Autopilot is taken over, and they just kind of go along with whatever anybody else says. Oh yeah, that's fine, we'll just do that. But then they end up being unhappy. So how do you live your life by design? Now, first of all, I want to quote a famous person who said, discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. And that was Abraham Lincoln, believe it or not. So how do we choose what we want now, but still be really focused on what we want most? Because then we're going to get a situation where we're truly happy. Strategies for a happy life. So let's think about one hand, if you are thinking about your goals in life, right? And some people say, think about a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan. And what happens? Again, it's like those 35,000 tennis balls going by. You cannot think maybe that far ahead. I mean, some people can. But what about if you just think, number one, about a year ahead and what you'd like to be personally, health-wise, situation-wise, professionally, and think about that, and think about where you are now. Think about if you're happy, not happy, and how you could change. For example, just, a small thing. What about if it's food? Let's say that, there's certain types of food that you really like. Getting back to Abraham Lincoln's quote, what do you want now and what do you want for the future? What is it that you want most? If it's to lose weight, then obviously the potato chips have to go. Things like that. So think about, maybe 2 or 3 things that in the year's time you want to accomplish, and start setting goals toward those things. Now, the second point I want to make about your life, living your life by design, is what if you feel like you're veering off and you're going in totally the wrong direction? Put the brakes on, press the pause button, and think about what is it that you really want to change. Ask yourself, can I get back on track, or do I have to totally just stop and reevaluate? Sometimes it's just a matter of correcting course. It's like an airplane. It doesn't go off to the side in one fell swoop. It goes off gradually until it ends up on the wrong path. So if we catch it in time, we put the pause button on, we can recorrect and course correct and get back on track. Like, for example, with that food example that I gave you before, what about if you have a goal of maybe eating more healthy during the year? How about starting out with maybe cleaning out your cupboards and getting rid of some of the things that you shouldn't be eating? Give them away or throw them away. I know it's hard to throw things away, but sometimes you can, give it to a skinny neighbor or something. So, okay, that's it. And then third, last but not least, take little incremental steps to move towards your life of design. For example, we've been studying the happiness trap with Russ Harris. And in the book, he gives us a technique called expansion. What expansion is when, and I'm not going to explain this as well as Russ did, but just giving all of the things that are flying at you some space so that you're not focused in on any one thing. And then little by little, you can just allow those things to move by. He uses the example of a car on the roadway, and you're in your house. Maybe you're trying to sleep and you hear that noise in the distance, but you just say, "Yep, car, go by. I recognize you. I hear you there, but just go by." And just let those things go by, and then little by little address the things that are the most important to you, so that you too can live the life that you really want, your life by design, not by default. And you too, people watch the show The Walking Dead, and I admit there's some interesting parts on the show and some interesting characters, and some people are really into it. But do you really want to be a zombie and not and go through life like that? Probably not. Probably not. You probably want to design your life so that you know your destination and your goal. And yes, we get off track and we get things thrown at us. But if we take the time, we can design the life that we really want. And here's a quote, much better said by Tony Robbins than I. Are you living your life by default or design? Make your destination, make your life a masterpiece. Step beyond the demands of the moment and begin right now to design and live the life that you deserve. And that's our strategy tonight for a happy life. I hope you enjoyed it. And now on to a question that we have on a way to design a secure environment for you at Real Estate Corner. So Joe and I got a very interesting post in our alerts the other day from Merrill Lynch, and we took it to heart. We have followed this system, and we hope that it will help you and give you a clue, because up until about a year ago, we didn't know too much about being secure and protecting our identities. And then a friend had identity theft, and we started thinking, boy, what can you do to prevent identity theft and fraud? You have things happen with your credit card, and then you call the credit card company, and then they stop the credit card, and then you got to get a new credit card, and and then you got to change all your numbers and everything, and that's a big enough pain. But can you imagine someone having their identity stolen, having someone get access to their most valuable information, their social security number, etc.? So we saw a program, and then it was reinforced by this little post that we got from our financial advisors. And basically, there's like 4 tips that we want to suggest to you to do, and to do this year. Don't wait. Don't wait for something to happen to you where you get some type of fraud, some type of identity theft, and then you've got to go really and drop everything, and it becomes time consuming as well as very, very stressful. So number 1 that we want to mention is to check your credit reports. Now there's 3 credit companies that you can go through. These are 3 major ones: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And if you need the phone numbers for them and you want them all quickly, just shoot me an email at Karen@homesbydonovan.com, and I will be glad to send them to you. Now, what you can do is you're entitled to a free credit report every year. But in addition to that, what you need to do is to call one of those companies, Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion, and place what they call a credit freeze on your credit. Now, what does that mean exactly? That means that if anyone goes to take out a credit card in your name or a loan in your name or anything like that, or open up a bank account, they will report that to one of the credit companies, and that will be a big red flag, and they won't let it go through unless they speak to you and you lift the freeze on your credit. And I've tried it, and it definitely does work. We put a freeze on our accounts, and then not thinking, like maybe 6 months later, I was going to, charge something of some furniture. And in order to do that, I had to then, they told me they turned it down. And then they said, the reason why is you have a freeze on your credit. And then I would have had to call and, undo it and unfreeze it till they could put the credit on and then put it back on. So anyway, that's number 1. Number 2 is make sure a lot of people don't use their malware or their virus protection on their computer, but there's a lot of good ones out there that not only protect you from viruses, but from ransomware and malware and things like that. And also, if you are out on your phone, you should have a VPN, so they can't get your information when you are on your phone. So if you want more info about that, let me know, and I'll be glad to share it with you. I've got a couple of companies. Nord is great. Bitdefender is another one that's good, and McAfee is fine. Well, there's a lot of them, but you need to have that on your phone as well, and put that on there when you're out using the public Wi-Fi. Okay. Number 3 is make sure and change your passwords. They all tell us that, right? But you shouldn't use the same passwords. Don't reuse your passwords. Don't use the same password for every account, because if they compromise it on one, they will know it on all of them. And they say you should change your passwords every 90 days. If you don't have LastPass or a similar program where you can save your passwords, it's a really cool program. Check it out. And last but not least, your bank account, you can put on a bank alert, like on your online banking, so that if a check or something is written for more than a certain amount, or someone tries to do something for more than a certain amount, that they will notify you right away. And I'm so glad we did that, because it did happen to us. And it was a very, very strange situation, but we got notified right away, and everything was taken care of. So if you want to have a life where you design your security and you feel safe when you are using the internet, then make sure to check out the tips that we gave you here at Real Estate Corner today. And now on to our most interesting topic, and people I know are waiting for this. Who doesn't like a trivia question, especially when you have the interesting ones like we have? So tonight we are talking about design your life, and designers. And we have an interesting question that we asked on our Monday morning wake up. And this is our blog that we send out, our little newsletter every Monday morning. If you'd like your free complimentary copy, please shoot me an email at karen@homesbydonovan.com and you will receive a copy of your very own Monday morning wake up on Monday morning. You see, we have Monday morning and we have Wednesday. And this is to help you get through the rest of your week or get your week started off right. We have some interesting topics that we talk about similar to our show. And we also always ask a trivia question and then we announce the answer on Wednesdays. So I know that there are a lot of people waiting because I got a really good response this week. So here's the question without further ado. Speaking of design, who is considered to be one of the top fashion designers in the world due to their innovation in clothing, jewelry, and perfume? Hint, this person was also on the list of Time magazine's 100 most influential people of the 20th century. Okay, now if you have a thought on who it is, I'm going to help you out a little bit because it's a multiple choice question. And the answers that you can select from are Ralph Lauren, A, B, Giorgio Armani, C, Christian Dior, and D, Coco Chanel. Okay, now they all sound like they could be that person. However, there's one person on the list that is distinguished because of something that she introduced. And so I've just now given away the answer. It is D, Coco Chanel, because of course we all know Chanel No. 5. Whether you like it or you don't, you know that fragrance. You walk into the department store and it's wafting through. Well, it did at one time anyway. I don't know if it still does. But anyway, let us tell you a little bit about Coco Chanel since we want to become informed a little bit about our topic. So first of all, she's French, you know that. Her mother unfortunately passed away when she was young. She was only 14, and her father sent her to live with the nuns who taught her how to sew. So now you see how her life was shaped. She became a fashion designer and had some very famous little black dresses and some really cool things back in the day. And in the 1920s is when she introduced her perfume line. And that included Chanel. And last but not least, I just wanted to add that there were several movies done on her, played by none other than Katharine Hepburn and Shirley MacLaine at different times. So they wanted to play the life of Coco Chanel, which was very interesting how she got to where she was. And there's a lot of other little tidbits that I will not share with you tonight, but I'm sure that if you have an interest, you can check it out online. So that concludes our show here, the Good News Wednesday show. I thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it brought a little interest and fun for the rest of your week. And until next time, please stay safe and make it a great rest of the week. Bye-bye. It's the Good News Wednesday show. Come on, kids, it's time to roll. Tell everybody that you know. Watch the Good News Wednesday show. Good News Wednesday's finally here. Let's stand up